All right, shalom, shalom. First things first, I'm going to give our honor and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachakorash. We say, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahushai, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahushai, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachakorash. And we give double honors to our apostles and our elders, which apostle is a great millstone, which feed us with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding through the spirit and power of Yahweh Yahushai. 2029, which is the year of apostates, fallouts, and spies. So let's jump right into this lesson. This is, we're going to title this, Nero is at it again. Okay, Nero is at it again. This is concerning the ark that is getting ready to be built. And, they're going to go forward with it. My mindset in just looking at the situation, I think that, it's one of them things, them small hats, like, you do, you do for us, we're going to let you pretty much do what you want. But that's a whole nother lesson because, with all these files that's coming out and all these things, these damning evidence, ain't nothing going to come of it because he's juiced in. And there's none you can come against, just like Catherine Fritz, if I'm not mistaken. She said, if you're going to go against these elites, you got to have space-based weapons. That's on the level they're at. So there's no kind of uprising that's going to be able to quell it. That's why Yahweh Shai himself is going to have to send. All right, Yahweh Shai is going to have to come on the earth, sent by his father, Yahweh, that's going to be able to take this man down because it's the blessing that came from Isaac. All right, that shows you the power of that blessing that only Isaac himself can take it away, and pretty much take him out of power because of the great heights that he's climbed, but that was to go right along with the blessing. So let's jump right into this news story. It says, this is from CBS News. It says Trump says he wants proposed ark to be the world's biggest. That's what should come to your mind. It says that horn was stout. All right, that little horn. Okay, it was stout. It was because the pride that you see coming out of, especially now with this administration and everything that's coming down with, seizing of Maduro, all these other actions that are taking place. They're really showing this place to be a very, it's breaking the rules. And even going into the Constitution, no other place has really, or no other time that you've seen that has been trampled upon. If you did it, it was a crime. You were gonna get caught up. Now you see all these different agencies and alphabets that are negating it by law. That's why it says that he make a decree by law. That's what he's doing. He's pretty much backdooring himself. That way he can come down with that great wrath that was spoken of. It says, let's read this one. This was 10 hours ago. It says Nero, it says President Trump says that he wants the new triumphant ark he commissioning as a gate to Washington, D.C. to be the biggest one of all in the world, even though the proposed site is situated along a flight path for nearby regional national airport in Arlington, Virginia. It says the design continues to be refined, and the president has said it will be larger. He said it will be larger than the Arc of Triumph in Paris, which stands 164 feet tall. According to the White House officials, the Washington Post reported over the weekend that the president wants the building to be 250-foot arch, aligned with the 250th anniversary of the country, which would dwarf even the tallest triumphant arch in the world, the 220-foot tall Monumento al Revelanto in Mexico City. For comparison, the Lincoln Memorial, which sits opposite a memorial bridge of the would be an arc site. It's 99 feet tall. So it's certainly that proud thing, man, that proud look. Okay, Trump plans massive arc in Washington, and you see the design of it. And I reported on this before, but this is further. I just wanted to bring out the news because the apostle had spoke on this. and showing you that this is history repeating itself. This man is back now. So what makes you think that he's not going to repeat the same act, which he is repeating the same actions along with the Israelites, okay? And the Christians, well, let's go here. No, hold on. Yep, this Jeremiah. Okay, so that's the Bible verse. So I pulled up some Bible verses, but I asked, it says, it sounds like you've dived into one of the most dramatic periods in Roman history. Because I asked if Nero built an ark commemorating himself and the details that went with it. And this is what it came up with. It says, it sounds like you're diving into one of the most dramatic periods in Roman history. While Nero never successfully completed a traditional arc in the way Constantine or Titus did, he did commission a massive, and what is Nero trying to do again? Commission a massive, the biggest one ever, to trump all the other ones. So that's the spirit. What's the chances of him not just building? It's not like he's wanting to build, and there's other buildings that he did commission that we'll get into. But the main thing is that he commissioned an ark in this past life, and he came back and he commissioned one again. No other president thought in their mind to do such a thing. You know, that certain arcs were commemorated to presidents, but no one really wanted to be the biggest in the world. Okay. And it says massive triumphal arc on the Capitoline Hill. See, at the Capitol, the Arcanus Neronius, to celebrate minor victories over the Parthians. And what do you hear today? Oh, I stopped this many wars, and he might have been thinking about them. He might not be thinking about the ones in this lifetime. However, his most audacious act of self commemoration was the Dominus Auronius, the golden house, and a massive statue that stood beside it. So it says Nero's self commemoration, the ark and the palace, after a great fire of Rome, which he blamed on the Christians. In 64 AD, Nero seized a massive portion of the city's charred remains, not to rebuild public housing, but to create a sprawling palatial complex. And what did you see going on in the land of Gaza, and what do you call it, the Palestinian? It says they're gonna make that the Riviera. Okay, they're gonna turn it to the Riviera of the Middle East, pretty much. So what's the chances of that? You know, because now it's not actually saying over here, but it's just saying that what. Because why wouldn't you not build public housing if it was a atrocity? You don't take that, showing you that something had to come about that, or there was some false play. Because why would you not build what was already there before? You're taking it to put, because there's no way you could just seize those areas and the people not be in uproar. The people would have had a problem with that, and they would have looked down, and it would have cascaded. But if it came by fire, then nobody could be the wiser, or nobody could get mad. But after you seize those areas, and then you tear everything down, and then you turn it into what, a palace? That's a little fishy, okay? And it says, Rios Neros let me see. Fire Rome. Nero seized the massive portion of the city's charred remains, not to rebuild public housing, but to create a sprawling palatial complex. The Arceus the Ark of Nero, constructed between 58 and 62 AD in the Capitoline Hill. It was unique because it was it was a single bay ark, topped with a bronze chariot, quadrigia. I think it's four horses, if that's what that means, because what he had on the top of his ark was four horses. Okay, quad is four, and then regia, horse. It says historical fate. If historical feat, it was destroyed shortly after his death. It erased his memory. Damnatio memoriae. Damnatio memoriae. Delmius Arias. So that's the main point on that. So he did have an ark commemorated to himself, and then other feats, but I didn't want to go into all that. But the main point here is, and he had a problem. Hold on, right here. Persecution of the Christians. Tychidius records that Nero used the Christians as scapegoats to deflect rumors that he had ordered the great fire of Rome. The hate for mankind. Titius described Christians as a deadly superstitious and claimed Christians were convicted not just of arson, but for hatred of the human race. So, because they're speaking against, they're saying, look, you getting ready to be judged, man, because they withdrew from Roman social and religious life, because the Lord said, "Have no other gods before me." So the Israelites were keeping their ways and their customs, and they were being persecuted for it or hated for it. The methods of execution: human torches. Nero reportedly dipped Christians in oil, tied them to poles, and lit them on fire to serve as evening lamps for his garden parties. That's fucking crazy, man. Fucking crazy. Wild beasts. Many were sewn into skins of wild animals and torn apart by dogs in the arena. The martyrdom of Peter and Paul, traditional. It says Christian historical place, the execution of both Apostle Peter, crucified upside down, and Apostle Paul beheaded during Nero's reign. Okay, so the same thing now. You see what's brewing down the end, because you see the persecution of the Latin tribe and the northern and the southern tribe are being persecuted in these times. All these things are not coincidence. Okay, it says protection of the apple of his eye. It says Zechariah 2 and verse 8, for thus saith the Lord of hosts, he who touches you touches the apple of his eye. In Hebrew, this refers to the pupil, the most sensitive and protective part of the eyes. So the Lord's keeping us as the most sensitive and the protected part of his attention. And if you touch that, the Lord is going to do a lot of damage to you. And that we're coming to that time now, because our warfare is accomplished, because Yahweh's promise was accepted. So our sins have been blotted out, because the Heavenly Father is looking at the blood that covers. That's why blood covers. Blood stains. We've been stained by the sacrifice of Yahweh. There's no getting it off. It's stained on us. That's that mark. That's that exempt from judgment of us being stained and us being marked by the sacrifice of Yahweh. Because blood is hard to get out of. White, let's say if we were white or had another color on, it's hard to get that blood out once it hits it. So the Lord can always see that mark, because it's stained in us. It's stained in the elect first and foremost, and then it's going to be placed into all of Israel, because the elect will bring back the rest of the nation. And it says, Psalms 105 and 14 to 15, he allowed no one to oppress them. For their sake, he rebuked kings. Do not touch my anointed ones. Do my prophets no harm. And that's what you're getting ready to see take place. What happened to us is going to come back in a big way. Matthews 18 and 6, it says, for thus who harm the little ones or the faithful, Yahushua gives a stern warning. If anyone calls one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. That's judgment. Pure judgment, man. And you see, and it's coming, man. This is the book of Genesis 12 and verse 3. And I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse you. And it's like it. And whosoever curses you, I will curse. And all the people on the earth will be blessed through you. So, everybody, that's how everybody on the earth is going to be blessed through Abraham. Because that line is going to go down and it's going to transcend unto all the nations of the planet Earth. Because it's a seed line. And once that seed line is established, and you see today, we're seeing the fruits. This promise now can come to pass, because Jake looks like every nation under this. So it's pretty much the Lord saying, you and your seed, every nation on earth is going to be blessed through your seed. Okay? Your seed is going to be able to go through all these nations. There's going to be one. That's why Revelation, when John was asked, who are these? He said, thou knowest, because they didn't look like your traditional Israelite. They didn't look like your traditional, those that stayed in the capital of Jerusalem. They didn't look like that. So now John didn't know, because at that time he knew what the average Israelite looked like, but he was being shown a future prophecy, a prophetic vision that would include people that did not look typically like an Israelite, but their blood and their genes and the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahshua was dwelling in them in the form and the fleshly manifestation of an Israelite, man. So that's what you see taking place now, is that bringing up the knowledge, wisdom. That's why the apostles and elders have been raised up, men that are pushing this truth. All these things are happening for the what? The sealing of the elect. And then the Lord can build off of that. This is the book of Isaiah. It says, Isaiah 54:17, no weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every thought that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. All right. And that's why all these scoffers and different people that want to come up with different doctrines, they're being found to, it's especially now what you see, the supposed Bible defenders and different things like that. They're not able to contend when it comes to prophecy, because if you don't know prophecy, you don't have the spirit. It says the spirit of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. So when that prophecy is given to you and you know the future, you're able to say it before, then that's how you know that you've been given that gift of prophecy, man. All right, this is see if there's any. That's pretty much it on that. I just wanted to bring this out. You know, it's interesting with this art. Nero's at it again. You know, Yabashim Yasha is really just moving 2026 in a big way. You know, there's financial crisis. I watched this thing on gold and silver. They talking about silver going up to $300 an ounce. That's a big deal. You know, I got, hey, we got different things coming down the pipe, but this is a beautiful moment, beautiful times that we're living in. So with that, I say call hello, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chakarash. Until the next time, I say Shalom and more, and I'll never keep faith. Shalom.